So the virus penetrates the lungs and goes into your body via a bridge.
Right.
And that bridge is called the ACE bridge. And that ACE stands for angiotensin converting enzyme system. Okay. And it does multiple things in different parts of the body. But that bridge is in your lungs, it's in the kidneys, it's in the heart, it's related to blood pressure. It's an amazingly complex bridge, does lots of jobs. However, at the very most simple level, the bridge allows the virus to penetrate into the lungs.
Right.
And men have more of these bridges than women. It's as simple as that. Men have more ACE2 bridges in their lungs than women do.
Okay. So they're more
And the virus,
receptors
yeah,
for.
more receptors. So basically, the virus goes into the lungs via this bridge, and there's more bridges in men than women. The question is why? And that's where we get into a little bit of sort of scientific discussion about it. But it's basically more ACE in the lungs of men than women, and that's why the virus gets in there.
So they're more
quicker. And
receptive to it.
yeah, kind of. Yeah. I think we can use the word receptor. I use the word bridge because it's multi. It has lots and lots of jobs, and it's not just a road into the lungs. It does all sorts of things, but essentially, there's more of these receptors in men than women. The question comes in: how is this related to hormones?
Yes. And I want to know, like, does HRT protect us, double protect us, even though we have we have less receptors? Are we also boosting it by having HRT or estrogen?
Okay, so this is when it gets a little bit confusing, and but also very interesting. So we know that estrogen may have an effect on the ACE bridges, and some studies previously have shown that it produces more ACE bridges than less ACE bridges.
Oh, really? So we'd
Yep.
be more at risk.
That's certainly in the press, but it doesn't seem to explain things. And I think it's probably a little bit more complex with the type of bridge that it's making.
Okay.
So what we call polymorphisms, so different shaped bridges.
Okay, way technical.
Sorry.
No.
So different types of ACE bridge. And
Okay.
so if estrogen produces good ACE bridges rather than bad ACE bridges, that could be a reason. So we don't really know that.
Okay. Okay.
But it's not the full story, and testosterone isn't the full story either, because if you look at a 70-year-old, here's the argument, and it's a really interesting argument. Let's just say you've got a 70-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
Her total testosterone is going to be almost identical to a 70-year-old man.
Yeah, right. So that kind of negates a lot of theory.
so it's part of the puzzle, but it's not all of the puzzle. So definitely estrogen and testosterone have an effect on these ACE bridges, maybe the number of bridges, maybe the type of bridge, but it's not the full story. So it's definitely part of the story, but not all of the story. And I think that there's probably a bigger, maybe unifying theory behind this related to the X chromosomes
Uh,
in women, X and Y chromosomes in men. And I think there's something behind that we probably, some people might know, but it's not really fully understood why that is. And I think it's probably related to the fact that women have better or different immunology than men.
and there haven't been any studies that you know about, or do you know about any studies in the whole SARS COVID family, that the corona family, that talk about estrogen and women's response to the SARS general sort of coronaviruses?
Yeah, well, we know that previous studies on SARS have shown that the penetration, so how well it's getting into the body, is affected by the ACE inhibitors, by the ACE bridges. But again, there's so many factors that are involved in it. it doesn't appear to be a simple story such as if you take testosterone or you take estrogen. However, I think we can just step back from that a little bit and just
Yeah.
come back to the fact that women get it worse. Women seem to have it, young women don't seem to have bad viral infections, don't seem to have bad infections with COVID,
Yeah.
but young men can. Okay, so we know that. And we know that estrogen levels are much higher in young women and in the early postmenopausal women and those who are on HRT. So we know that. We know that from looking at studies. We know that.
Yeah.
And we know that estrogen levels in men are much lower, but testosterone levels come to balance out in later life. Now, on that understanding, you'd think that estrogen, however it does it, is protective.
Yes. Okay.
So just finishing that, I think HRT probably has a beneficial effect on on COVID infection. And if we think about the ACE bridge, which has effects on blood pressure,
Yes.
then we can see that ACE will have an effect, and possibly by keeping ACE levels lower, that women are able to maintain a better protection against COVID than men.
The ACE levels are more controlled with the more estrogen you have, and they have a better influence. That's interesting. Sorry,
So,
wrong.
as I say, it may be that it's the type of ACE system that is upregulated, not ACE levels as a whole. Because
Okay.
remember, there's different types.
Yeah,
different types of bridges.
Yeah, it's very interesting. The whole illness, as an illness, objectively, is quite an interesting, or virus. As a virus, it's quite an interesting virus. The way it behaves is quite interesting. It's terribly powerful. Very, very odd.
I think the other thing that makes me think that this is a relatively true theoretical basis or a hypothesis is the relationship between ACE and vitamin D.
Oh yeah,
Because we know, yeah, exactly. So we know that vitamin D is probably protective. And
can I just ask you, is it protective so that your symptoms won't be worse and they'll help you through it, or it'll protect you from getting the virus?
I think from how bad your infection is going to be.
Yeah. I took quite a lot of vitamin D coming up to it, and zinc, but that was more sort of lozenges. But and I kind of felt like zinc was like protecting me from a cold rather than like doing anything. But I took quite a lot of vitamin D, and I do think that, you know, in spite of getting the infection, I don't think I had it as badly. But that's a combination of being fit and being healthy and eating right and all of that, because I kind of went into it like a fighter. And I think that's a good way to go into it, is like batten down your hatches, don't drink loads, like don't go into it with a hangover from drinking for months. Like if you're going to, and the way it's spreading, and who knows if it's what's going on with it now, and if there's a second wave, to go into it prepared is a kind of a good way to go.
I mean, I think so, and there's some this is stuff that's really on the crest of the wave at the moment, as far as science and an explanation of it is concerned, and things are coming out all the time. And I hadn't looked at the most recent papers until last week on this, and we can put a link on here for an article from the International Journal of Molecular Sciences, which is it's a bit techy, but it's relating ACE expression, so how many bridges there are, the risk of blood clots in the chest and legs, which is a big killer in COVID, and low levels of vitamin D.
Okay, so everyone up there, vitamin D, don't overdose or dose on it, but just sit out in the sun a bit.
Keep on taking your vitamin D, and keep yourself in the back garden.
Yeah. with some sun cream on, but you need like 20, what is it, 20 or 40 minutes a day of like
Yeah,
skin.
yeah. I just advise everybody to take 1,000 units of vitamin D, which you can buy over the counter anytime. It's from any pharmacy or health food shop. It's it's just topping up what you need. I mean, thankfully the weather's nice, and hopefully people will be able to go outside. But like lots of people don't like being in the sun. Lots of people have got
Don't
problems
have
with
a
the sun.
garden.
But it's just really, yeah. So I think at the moment, that what we know is that, in summary, is that ACE bridges are higher in women. They may higher in men,
Of course,
higher
yes.
in men, and that estrogen seems to be protective here with the ACE production or the ACE type or the ACE activity, something ACE-like,
Ace,
and
ace. Yeah.
ACE, and that this also relates to the risks of the ACE is related to the risk of blood clots in the chest and legs, and it's also related to vitamin D levels. So the answer is probably definitely keep taking your HRT
Yeah.
in women, and keep on taking your vitamin D.
And that'll really practically give you a little boost, so you're ready when you get it, if you get it.
You're doing everything. Then you're doing everything you can, and I think that some of my patients have been saying, "Oh, but should I be stopping my HRT?" Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not in the summer. Not when everybody's going mad around you. Not when there's some scientific evidence that is protective against the severity of a COVID infection.
And also, I think it's worth making a point to tell people that it's not actually gone away. This is still there. And I think we should all be still as vigilant as we were when this started, when our hands were sore from washing them. And I just kind of look out the window all the time and see people wandering around like it's all gone. And I know it's relentless, and I know the economy, and I know that my business is closed, and I know how much it's all going to affect us for years, but it's still there. And I think it's become sort of, oh, the pandemic's over, and we need to not think like that. What are you saying as a doctor who deals with this and goes in the NHS? I mean, really, I just kind of, it gets to me. I'm paranoid about it. I was paranoid about it, and I got it.
Okay, so what I think we should do with this question is just do it on a separate chat, because
Okay, we'll do another one.
it's a big one, and it's a big one because my personal views are different from my professional views, because I want to be out in the park kicking the football around and swimming and stuff. So it's a difficult. Let's talk about that in a separate one.
Good chat, Gidon. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Take care. Be safe.
Bye.